Welcome to Second Chances School of Nursing, where we believe all you need is one more chance. And we are so excited that you have accepted our offer as a clinical adjunct faculty and look forward to expressing what we need from you and what you can offer to us and how we can help grow your professional vita. I am sure you were introduced to the school during the application and interview process, but it always pays to have a firm understanding of the origin of a thing. So here at Second Chances, we are under the leadership of Pastor Maude McGill, who founded our school because he saw that there were so many who were not taking advantage of the educational opportunities available to them, and that the resources were limited here in our inner city USA. Because of that, Pastor McGill gave us the vision of exposing, experiencing, embracing, and then to empower that individual to take that second chance. And we are excited. We do have a CNA program, certified nurse assistant. We also have a licensed practical nurse program, and we now have an associate degree RN program. We do believe the sky is the limit, and as soon as we can get all of the pieces in place, we are encouraged that we will continue to grant more degrees, including baccalaureate, master's, and then who knows, we may have a doctorate program before it is over. Dr. Maude McGill, who is Pastor Maude McGill's wife, is our director for the healthcare sciences portion of Second Chances here, and then Pastor McGill is the director for our philosophy portion. We are a new academic institution in the heart of the community, but we are making great strides to be a beacon of light for our inner city community. And as a part of us at Second Chances, it is important for you to understand just some statistics and facts about our community, so when you have your students to come in, you have a background understanding of who they are and some of the challenges that they may face. About 74% of our students live near or below the federal poverty level. 90% of the students you will encounter are minority students. 53% of the student population admits that they were raised by a single parent, and 98% of these students were surveyed and reported that they are the first in their family to pursue post-secondary education. So aside from the poverty and the opportunity, you can see on the pictures that we do have a location issue. Inner city is very congested and therefore has more opportunity for crime and violence because there's not enough space and not enough resources. If a person does not have the basic necessities of life, most of the time they will turn to crime because crime is all that they know. We had a 99% to report that they have never lived anywhere else besides this inner city USA. So exposure is very limited, which is why Pastor McGill had the notion to go ahead and create this school. And we are in our second year of accreditation through CNEA, which is a part of NLN. And accreditation requires that you have an operational curriculum for at least 2 years before they will come in and do the site visit and review your self-study. So we're very encouraged by our chances of having the accreditation, successfully meeting all of the standards. The only area that we do struggle is in obtaining some of the clinical sites. We have 2 hospitals that are accessible to us. Now, understand, transportation is an issue for some of our students because most of them do not have vehicles and dependable, reliable rides that they can get back and forth. They take city transportation. And with that, we have to try to use hospitals that are within their means of accessing. And so, because we're a new school and not well known, we do have several partnerships that donated for our skills lab, and we have several long-term care facilities that allow us to come in for our fundamental courses, but the hospitals are not allowing us to come in for the optimal shifts. Most of the time it's night shift, or it is not for the full clinical hours that we would like for the entire day. But we are creating contract agreements and breaking through some of those barriers and, quite frankly, some of those implicit bias that keep us from having the first choice of different things. So let's talk about your students. Here at Second Chances School of Nursing, as I'm sure you're aware, we have a very strict non-discrimination policy, not just because we do receive federal funding through the Department of Education, but because humanity is one of our core values. As such, you will be responsible for students who may not come from the same cultural background as yourself, and that's okay. We learn how to work with each other. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce your clinical group. This is clinical group B, and they will go to health assessment on Wednesday and Friday. They are very excited to meet you, as they have already been alerted of your presence and looking forward with great enthusiasm to the things that you will bring to them, your expertise. I would like to introduce each student to you and just give you just a brief overview of their cultural background so that you have awareness of some possible challenges or barriers to completely understanding the health assessment content. Meet Pat. Pat, who you will see with the yellow square around her person, is an outstanding individual with such a caring and humanitarian spirit. Pat has spent most of her adult life working in missionary work and trying to spread awareness and build trust among the LGBTQIA+ community. Pat identifies as bigender, and bigender means that she has 2 different gender identities. A person who is bigender encompasses both the male and the female genders, although Pat admits that her female gender is stronger. But there may be days where Pat would appreciate the pronouns of he and him because her male gender identity is surfacing, and that is okay. Because of that, Pat does experience different stereotypes and, quite frankly, some very negative feedback in the healthcare arena and the overall community. But Pat is very strong and she's very open to bringing forth her emotional concerns. She is very in touch with her inner self, and she will alert you if she is feeling this strong emotional pull. A part of that openness with Pat is because she advocates for the very elevated suicide rate that occurs among women who have openly identified with their sexual identity and unapologetically live their lives based on the identity that is instilled inside of them, how they feel, their heart's association. So one of the barriers that you may have with Pat is the implicit bias, microaggression, and just overall nastiness, for lack of a better term, that she may experience. But the good thing about Pat is she's in tune, she's intelligent, and will let you know that there is something that's bothering her. Let's meet Jeremy. Jeremy has a wonderful background of persistence and tenacity as he grew up in the foster care system. Jeremy was introduced to Inner-City USA through his foster mom and foster dad, who took him in at the age of 14. However, Jeremy was placed in the foster care system well before the age of 14. When he was 2 years old, his mom overdosed and his dad signed over his parental rights, terminating any type of responsibility for caring for Jeremy. Being 2 years old and very attached to his mom, it was very difficult for him to adjust. And as such, every behavioral response, such as not listening or not doing something that the resource or foster parents, you may hear the term interchangeably, and both are correct, would desire for Jeremy to do, would cause immediate frustration on the parents' end and overall displacement for Jeremy. So by the time he came into the care of the Johnsons, he had been through 5 different foster family homes and 2 different foster centers. So Jeremy had a very difficult time establishing roots with any one family until he met the Johnsons. But there is a transracial identity with Jeremy because the Johnsons are African American or Black indigenous people that are native to this neighborhood but love Jeremy very much. So he will be very honest and upfront with you to tell you that he has brothers and sisters that do not share his same skin color, but they do share his same values, his same religious beliefs, and oftentimes he is identified as being a person who may be racist or just by default not understanding of the culture when that is not his experience. He has the lived experience in the Black African American culture. And also, on the flip side, he will have some of his community members that see just his skin color and think that he should believe as they believe. Jeremy has often expressed how it is very difficult to be a nonconformist, a person who looks a certain way and feels another way, and when people see you, they think that you should fit the mold of how your outer appearance looks, and your heart is a bit different. And he often uses the term reverse racism, and that's, side note, students, that is a term that I'm coining, so you'll hear more about that. Reverse racism, where people by default put you in what they believe you're going to think, as opposed to getting to know you. So because I live my life a certain way, that doesn't mean that I by default judge your life. I'm a human relational theory person, so I'm going to take you at face value. But I have had several people, with my husband being a pastor and living in South Mississippi and just different things, that have automatically thought that I thought a certain way. And so because of that, they would not give me opportunities or engage with me with different aspects, because they by default thought that I was going to think about them and their choices and their identities in a certain light. So you want me to be accepting of you, but then you have in turn placed me inside of a box because you don't know what my response would be. And you owe me the privilege to be able to show you my response. But that's Dr. McGill another day. Let's get back into character. So Jeremy is an outstanding student. He is a very broken student. In order to encourage Jeremy, you would really need to ensure that you show him what his role is in that space so that he is clear on role acclimation and what he should do moving forward. At this time, let's spotlight Aisha. Aisha, as you can see with her jihad, is of the Muslim faith, but she is an outstanding comedian. That's why you see the very jovial look on her face as she is interacting with her peers. Aisha's biggest concern is that her religion stigmatizes her. And she actually did not start out in the Muslim faith. She started out in the Christian faith growing up. And as she met her husband, that she has now been married to for 10 years and has 3 beautiful children by her husband, she learned that the Muslim faith better suited her spiritual, emotional, and mental needs. However, she is quick to tell you that her jihad would cause issues when entering into a room. It will give you looks, it will give you stares, and she's even had some patients, unfortunately, that would not allow her to take care of them because she was labeled as a terrorist for bringing water into the room. And automatically she had poisoned the water, and it was just a horrible clinical day. I assure you it was. So you must be cognizant of those types of responses while supporting Aisha as she tries to learn this craft, because nursing is for all of these students, no matter what the patient response may be. Next, we have Samantha, who prefers to be called Sam. And Samantha is a native of our community. She has lived here for as long as she can remember and grew up with domestic violence. And she was molested as a younger child, and because of that grew promiscuous and had several behavioral challenges as it came to sexual behaviors. And she will tell you that she only thought love occurred through sexual activity because she was 4 years old when she was first molested. As a result of her promiscuous behavior and the time it took for her to realize that she's valuable just for living and breathing and moving and having her being, she does have several children that has rendered a poverty driven life. Samantha, or Sam, does have 4 children. All 3 of her children are under the age of 5, and the oldest is 5. And she is a single mom, and 2 of the children's father is in the prison system, incarceration, and the other 2 children's father is involved in some unscrupulous activities, and Samantha does not want to have any awareness of that individual. So she does it on her own, and she's extremely strong. She does not make excuses. She is ready to take on whatever it is that you would give for her to do. She is motivated to get this thing done. But as a result, she does have some challenges sometimes when it comes to paying clinical fees, when it comes to getting from point A to point B. She is the only one that does not have stable transportation. She does take city transportation, and that is all on a schedule. And so it means if one kid has a poopy diaper, or if one kid throws up and it throws her off where she's not at the bus stop at, that time, she's 10 minutes behind cleaning the kid or getting the kid together, or if the babysitter just says, hey, I have a headache, I'm not keeping the kids today, then her entire world is rocked, and she will panic. And because she doesn't want to put her burdens on others, she will just go without sharing any of that information. I have been talking with her back and forth and just encouraging her to let us help her together. Let's all pull our resources, our minds, our perspectives, different things, that experiences, different things that we know, to help each other get through this milestone in our lives. So she is getting better with communicating, but if there is a time where she didn't show up, or a time where she didn't present her best work, it is uncharacteristic of her, and something has probably happened. And I do ask that you reach out to Sam and just make sure that everything is fine. Show her that you are not punishing her or upset with her because that expectation was not reached. Rather, you want to help support her in this endeavor. And of course, if you need me to intervene in any way, I am always happy to do just that. And we have one more. I do apologize for my screen capture of Derek as he was turned around when we were taking the photo and trying not to get a posed shoot, but a shoot in action, as it were. But Derek is one of our community partners' child, and therefore he's not from this community. He is already a licensed practical nurse that is seeking his RN. So he does help the group in just reassuring them that they are able to complete this journey. He is the informal leader, as it were. He is a breath of fresh air, always willing to support. He's also an adult learner who has experience in the medical profession. He has practiced as a licensed practical nurse for 10 years now. He does not reside in the inner city USA. He does commute. His income level is quite different. He is bivocational. He's still working as an LPN and doing the full-time student role. And because he's an adult learner, we know that Knowles' adult learning theory requires that we are very intentional about bringing the experiences of the adult learner and just allowing that to motivate and shape how we get the adult learner to grasp, understand, and practically apply whatever content it is that we're trying to get them to do. So if there are moments where you can capitalize on his experience and practice as being a member of the clinician family, being an LPN, and then build on what his scope was and how it relates to what it will be, that would really encourage him to truly bring in his full creativity and innovation in this space. I did have a faculty member that was intimidated because Derek was already a licensed practical nurse, And because of that, that faculty member did not want Derek to speak out about his prior experiences. And Derek performed so poorly in that class. And when I went back and did an analysis and evaluated everything, I did realize that the faculty member was intimidated because a student had more awareness than just that entry level, quote unquote, green level. And Derek needed someone who was able to not be intimidated by him, but cultivate it, foster it, let it grow, and take him to that next level. So, and sometimes that's what it is. And I am very hopeful that you are the faculty member that can help Derek continue to grow and leverage the leadership that he has with the group if there's something that you really need the group to come to a consensus regarding. So you may wonder, why did I take the time to go through all of the various nuances of your clinical group? Why does it matter? It matters because brains in pain cannot learn. If you do not create an optimal learning environment for the students and address those issues and triggers that may stimulate the limbic system and emotional switching, it takes away from that cognitive processing. So you cannot ostracize or marginalize emotions as it relates to learning. It does not work. And for years, we supported such an antiquated frame of mind that you leave your emotions at the door and other colloquialisms and focus simply on the facts and take feelings out of it. But if you cannot address and cope and put those feelings into a place of stagnation where they are not running the system of your brain, then you could lecture all day. We can do all kinds of case studies and kinesthetic activity, but you are not in the posture to learn. So that is why I'm highlighting the students and potential triggers that may be of consideration for you as you see that learning is not truly taking place in a seamless articulation. As far as I introduced it, we practiced it, I asked Socratic questions about it, what's going on with retaining it. It may be because there is a consideration that you must address. With Pat, remember, by gender and emotional wellness is her primary concern, or her consideration, I should say. Jeremy, foster child, found security in a Black family, but of course he does not look like the family that loves and provides this emotional wellness for him. So he has issues with belonging and making sure that, he wasn't mistakenly born into this world, but reassuring him that he has purpose in the space that he is in. Aisha found security and strength in the Muslim faith and respects the faith to wear her jihad, and as such is stigmatized for that. And sometimes she just needs reassurance, especially when the world can be very ugly regarding things that they are either A, fearful of, or B, not really versed in. So they're unlearned in that area. Sam, mother of 4, single mother of 4. As such, children are expensive. I am a living witness. And so she has 5 lives that she's taking care of, herself and her 4 children. And she lives below the poverty level that's established by federal government. Therefore, she receives federal assistance in all that she does. But federal assistance is also dependent on you adhering to their schedule and their requirements. And if something's wrong with the kids, especially with 3 of them being under the age of 5 and not yet in public school systems, there could quite possibly be an issue with Sam, but because of her past and her emotional wellness, she is not always forthcoming about things that's happening. And so if you do see her distant and not engaged or not present in the moment, as far as intellectually, emotionally, not able to adapt or adjust to different things that's going on, then I really do want you to reach out to her, even if your reaching out is saying, Dr. McGill told me when I see you in this posture to please come and see her. And Derek, LPN for 10 years, does not share the lived experience in this community as the others, and for that reason he's unfamiliar with some of the inner workings of the inner city, but because he did it, he is a representation that it can be done, and it can be done with a minority such as I, or a person who has a different point of view than the standard majority. They look to him as an informal leader. And because Derek has had experiences with faculty who were threatened by him, he is very hesitant to share what he knows and to take that informal leadership position. I just want you to leverage it, capitalize on it. He is extremely intelligent, very cooperative, and helpful, compassionate. You will completely enjoy him altogether. So those are your students. I am so excited. I cannot wait to hear of the health assessment and the considerations, just your overall plan for making sure that our students here at Second Chances have that chance to be successful. And as we always say, you need to expose in order to experience, in order to embrace, in order to empower. Expose these students to health assessment techniques and best practices. Let them experience it. Then embrace them in the positives that they do, and encourage them in the things that they need to do better, and empower them to be our next generation of nurse leaders in such a time as this. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know.